Hello and welcome to another episode of Rico'S Rants. I'm your host, Rico DiGiorgio. Um, okay, so if you just caught the previous episode I did, it was not a happy one. And the movie I'm about to review is not happy either, but it's a fucking great one. So, it's one of those crazy things that when you deal with grief, sometimes happy movies work, sometimes sad movies help. I told Stephanie that I had been sort of suppressing a lot of tears and occasionally having a little bit of crying, and I really, due to the subject of the previous video, which I don't really want to go into again, I needed a I need a healthy cry. So I had been reminded, because I recommended this to a customer just out of the blue. I was like, oh shit, I should. You want a really fucking good movie? You should see House of Sand and Fog. But I did warn the guy, and I'm warning you. It is a fucking. It is Shakespeare in modern form. It is by no means a happy tale. I may need to get my phone actually to. Let me just. Because I need to get some notes. So bear with me, because there's key things I want to talk about, but I don't want to spoil the movie, but I do need to talk about um, certain things. So first off, it's based on a novel, and I remember watching the movie first, and then finding out it was a novel, and then reading the novel, and it's beautifully written. There are some very, very, very slight differences, and it really is. The movie is one of the most faithful adaptations. And I found out that the director who wrote the screenplay was just a massive fan of the book. I'm bringing it up on Wikipedia so I have it. And he just wrote it in like 2 weeks and was just super faithful. And he just knew the characters in and out. So, the basic premise, without diving too much into it, is that it's two separate families, but really it's one woman against a Iranian family, but not against in a racial way. It actually race is actually a huge part of the story, but not to the extent of she doesn't like them because of their race. It's something even simpler. And what it is Kathy Niccolo, played by Jennifer Connelly, is living in my area, living in the San Francisco Bay Area. And due to the fact that she's been depressed because her husband had left her for 8 months previously, she has stopped opening up her mail. What she failed to realize is that if she had opened up her mail, she would have been notified that her house had been basically sold from beneath her because she had she had failed to pay a business tax, which she contested at one point because she didn't have a business. So they sold her house for $500 in unpaid taxes. Not saying they sold it for $500. I'm saying they sold it because of $500. So now all of a sudden she's on the street. And in the process, a cop, a sheriff, actually played really, really in a rare acting form because he hasn't done a whole lot of acting. I'm trying to bring his fucking name up. Is Ron Eldard. And honestly, the only thing I've ever seen this guy in was in the movie Scent of a Woman with Al Pacino. And he plays another cop. If, spoiler, in the part in Scent of a Woman where Pacino, who's blind, his character's blind, is driving a Ferrari, and then he gets pulled over by a cop, and he somehow finagles his way out of not only getting a ticket, and revealing that he's blind to the cop. Ron Eldard plays the cop, and he plays the sheriff in this. So he helps Kathy, Jennifer Connelly. He's attracted to her, and he also takes pity on her, and helps her pack up her house, take it to storage. And they have a slight attraction to each other at first. And the family that buys the house, the titular House of Sin and Fog, is an Iranian family. And the patriarch is played by Sir Ben Kingsley. And he plays a ex-colonel of Iran. And he and his family had to immigrate to America because the Ayatollah took over Iran. So they can't go back to Iran. They can't go back to luxury. And because, he was a very important, powerful man. But he can't go back because they'll be murdered, basically. So now a man of such power and authority is now forced to work on the side of the road, making, minimum wage, and also work at, a convenience store. And I watched the behind the scenes of the movie, and the author combined two things in his life to make this book. Which was, and I should talk about the author, at least drop his name. He has a French name. André Dubois III. And he, as far as I know, he's American, but he has a very fucking French name. Sorry, I butcher French. I'm not good at French pronunciation. I'm better at Italian. But, two incidents happened in his life where there was a woman that he had heard of that lost her house and due to a mix-up in mail, and then they had sold the house beneath her, and she was fighting to get it back. At the same time, 20 years previously, he knew of an Iranian family that he was close with, and the patriarch of the family he got close to, and he said, in my country, I was close to royalty. I dined with kings and queens. And now I give candy to strangers who don't know what I once was. And then he said, well, what if my Iranian friend had bought this woman's house? That's where the story unfolds. And you look at the story, and you look at both sides, and neither is really wrong in their situation. Both have legal right, both have illegal right, both have their own personal right and claim to this fucking house, which in some shots is a beautiful house, but is really just a bungalow. It's not there. She is looking at it because it was her father's house. They spent 30 years, paying off, and then he left it to her and her brother when he died. And she is feeling guilty, and she's a fuck up, and she's this, and she's an ex-addict and an alcoholic, and her husband leaves her, and she feels like a complete failure. And she didn't even tell her parents, her mother or her brother, that her husband had left her, or that she is now losing the fucking family home. So she is going through a whole lot of bullshit. And Barani, Ben Kingsley's character, is just doing what he feels is right for his family. He's working menial, shitty jobs to just make an honest living in America, to have a better life for his son and for his wife, and there's a lot of great. I mean, everyone who's in this film is giving a stellar acting performance. No one dips. I'm not. I look at this and I am not at all like, oh, they could have been a different person or someone else could have done this. Blah blah blah. Um, and I am going to fuck up the actress who plays Barani's wife, and I'm really gonna try. And it's Shohreh Agardashlu. That's the best I can do. She's phenomenal in this. This was also her American debut, and I'm 99% positive she was nominated for an Best Supporting Actress. Good fucking God. I don't know how in the fuck she didn't win this. She brought fucking tears to my eyes. This movie, this movie did what I wanted to do. It made me cry. And I cried a lot with her because I found out through the bonus features she related this character in many ways because she was an Iranian woman who was forced to immigrate and leave Iran to America, and how immediately, because she was a very well respected Iranian actress, but how in America she was immediately given like terrorist roles, so she just stopped and just went into theater. So this was her American film debut, and fuck, dude, what a well worth wait. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, she was currently on the. She was in the Punisher show on Netflix. She plays the mother of the Iranian agent, I want to say, and she has a very kind of throaty, very sensual but kind of smoky voice, and she's beautiful and she acts her ass off in this. And there's a lot of, you feel it's authentic because there's a lot of parts where she is talking or yelling in Farsi, and it brings a sort of authenticity to the film. Like you felt like she was born for this role. So the cop gets involved, and he and Kathy are trying to are having a relationship. She's basically living out of her car, and he's now sort of taking like, I'm gonna protect this woman, and I'm gonna get this fucking family out of here. And it's implied that he is being racially racist. Racially, he's being racist in a biased kind of way because the DVD skipped, but I'm trying to remember from when I saw it years ago. I think he was in the armed forces and he was looking down at Middle Easterners. And I think that's implied. Again, the DVD kind of was scratched, so it kind of skipped just like 5 minutes. So I'm trying to remember it. So there is some racial profiling, which is fucking relevant to what's going on right now. So that kind of hit home because that shit has never really gone away. Racial profiling and racism, but at the same time, you feel for both families, and you're like, God, why don't you fucking let's get along? And it is a very powerful film, and the director, which I got to give him credit, man, he fucking did a great job. Vadim Perelman. I think this was his first real film that as a director as well. He gave for a fucking first time or a very early film, it is a work of art, and it is not getting enough praise. Um, Again, to the whole cast, and in particular, um, damn it, Dino. Jennifer Connelly is really impressive. because you see this downward spiral for all the characters, but in particular, you see her already kind of in her own mind. She thinks she hit rock bottom because her husband left her, and then she loses her house. Then she's in a hotel. Then she gets kicked out of the hotel for a credit card declining. Then she is sleeping in her car. Then this, then that, and you see her. Then you see her go and buy a pack of cigarettes, and she had said that she had quit smoking. She's like, "There's no smoking in my house. Don't smoke." And then she buys that pack of smokes, and you see just these little key strokes of just the beginning of a true rock bottom. And it's a big emphasis where she just puts the cigarette in her mouth and slowly lights it and takes a slow drag. Stop it. And he's fucking bastard's biting me. He always gets rambunctious around 2 a.m. And little subtleties like that. She goes and buys like a small bottle of booze, and you could see this metamorphosis of who she was once. Basically, what it is I sometimes like to imagine this is her character from Requiem for a Dream, and then she kind of kicks her drug habit, kicks the booze, all that shit, gets clean, marries someone, that falls apart, and now she's sort of slowly going back. That's kind of how I look at it. Just what happened to that character? Oh, she goes through some more bullshit? Fuck. If you're in the mood for crying, this is definitely a great one. Ben Kingsley delivers a fucking heartbreaking performance. And it feels authentic, and it feels genuine, and it feels real. I don't praise Ben Kingsley enough. I've seen movies with him, but he was never really fully on my radar. He was never like, oh, Ben Kingsley? I gotta see that. I respected the guy. Schindler's List is a fantastic performance of his. Gandhi is groundbreaking as an actor. He's fucking even great in Lucky Number 7. Whoever fucking saw that movie. But this, House of Sand and Fog, this is what I'm always going to remember him for. Truly one of the more Shakespearean films I've ever seen. I mean, there's no sand, there's no swords, there's no, there's no poetry, but it is poetic. I encourage, it's even, at this point, it's fucking 15 years old. But it's timeless. You can watch this movie at any time. It is. They're real specific in the sense of that there's no cell phones or something. Like, not. I don't even think once she uses a cell phone. She uses payphones. That's the only thing that's sort of dated. Where people are going to be like, what the fuck is that? And then, like, the parents are like, well, there used to be payphones on a street. You didn't have cell phones. And this isn't even that old, but as for the book, again, the book is very, very good as well. And I would recommend both. I mean, is this a go out and fucking see it? If you're in the mood. And if you need some fucking crying, yes, go out and fucking see this movie. On that note, I'd like to also remind you guys to check out the podcast that my friend CG and I run, Pod Askew. You can find this on most channels, including iTunes. And you can also follow me on Twitter at Rants Rico. At RANTS capital RICO. Rants Rico. So feel free to drop me a line. Hope you guys like this episode. I needed this. This was in the previous episode. I said I need therapy. This was therapeutic, and I want to thank you guys for indulging me for this rocky period that I'm going through right now. I want to wish you all well, and at the same time, I did just turn 27, And I wanted to talk about that at one point, but then tragedy struck before I could even really want to talk about it. But I do want to thank you all for wishing me happy birthday. Those who did, those who didn't, fuck you. Uh, but thank you, and go see the movie. Bye, guys.